Well, I'm going to assume we're live now because there's always a delay. I wasn't planning on going live today, but this is absolutely nuts. I don't know if you've been paying attention. I don't know if you have been witnessing this nomination for the Supreme Court. They call it KBJ. We'll stick with KBJ. I don't want to get roasted for not pronouncing her name right. Well, she's a couple of things. She's proof that the college system does not make you wise. She's ignorant. I don't get off on bashing people. This is serious. This is a lifetime appointment to people who are going to interpret, or as she says, quote unquote, define the laws. And she can't define what the word woman means. And these are the same people that tell you to follow the signs. She doesn't think owning a firearm is a fundamental right of Americans. She has defended the Taliban against the government of the United States. She has been lenient on pedophiles. She listens to the side of the people who are child predators. And I don't know any other lower forms of life than child predators. So she's not here to protect your rights as a citizen. She's not here to protect the rights of children. She's a Marxist, a BLM activist, part of the 1619 Project. She's a radical left-wing nutjob who can't answer basic questions. She is the epitome and the byproduct of living under this regime with CRT and feelings and safe spaces and all this. America's doomed. America's doomed. And if she gets put onto the bench of the Supreme Court, you better start stockpiling ammo like there is no tomorrow, because this is tomorrow. And this crazy lady, she can't define what woman is, yet she was only nominated because she is one. She's a woman of color. You know, the Democrats did such a good job being racist back then that they're trying to undo it now. So they're just being racists again. The only difference is they're doing it against another subset of people. They're doing it against the white people. The majority, the minority, the majority, the minority. White people are a minority, I'm pretty sure, amongst the planet. Asians are the majority. And you notice they had to stop the Asian hate. Stop the Asian hate. That disappeared real quick, because who was attacking Asians? Black people and Democrats. Democrats didn't want them going into the universities because they made up too much of a proportion of students. And black people just like to beat on Asian people. I don't get it. I don't know why. And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say this is going to be controversial. I think black people are some of the most racist fucking people on the planet. White people are, besides the Karens and the liberals, because all of these left-wing nut jobs are white liberal women. I don't get it. Their men are cucks, so they don't make any decisions. The man bun wearing mocha latte, soy latte fucking degenerates that just think everything's whatever my wife says. And I'm not saying that you are to control your wife. I'm just saying that these men don't have any testosterone. There's no fight in them. There's no resilience or backbone. There's no you protect your woman, you provide for your woman, and they do whatever their women say. They're cucks, as we call it. Black men are absent in their children's lives. Black people in general have been pushed to this side of society that relies on government, and they're still not happy with it. Defund the police, but vote for big government. The government's gonna fix it, and they're gonna nominate a woman, a black woman. Those were Biden's specifications. Was picking a biological sex, which apparently this woman does not understand what biological sex is. You have to have a PhD in biology to understand a boy has a penis and a woman has a vagina. And she was picked for her race, which is technically racist. Diversity of race and sex is not a strength. It's not a strength at all. It's actually sexist and racist. Diversity of thought can be a strength because you get many different perceptions, many different angles to attack a problem. But there is no diversity of thought on the left. It's a hive mind. It's a cult. It's absolutely a cult. I'll debunk the Trump cult for you. They called the anti-vaxxers, now they changed the definition. Anti-vax, just, you could simply be against vax mandates, and now you're an anti-vaxxer. I got all my vaccines, just not this one. And I didn't get it when Trump was in office. And I ain't getting it because Biden mandated it, because I'm not part of a cult. But the Democrats wouldn't take it under Trump because Trump was in office. But once Biden mandated it, all of a sudden they want to arrest the unvaxxed. That's a cult. That is a hive mind cult. I'm sorry. It's what it is. I'm calling it for what it is. Hate me. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I could take it because my fucking dots connect. My elevator goes to the top floor. Okay? And now they're coming out. I got a couple of quick bullet points since we're talking about the vax. They wanted 75 years to release the information on the vax. They just released, what is it, like 50,000 fucking pages? Did you know that a study showed? Now they're going to put out their fact-checking debunks. Okay, we debunked it. No, you didn't. You just said it was false, therefore it's debunked. No, not at all. There's actually a negative efficacy rate. Not only does it wane over time, you're now susceptible to other fucking issues. So we knew from the beginning of this vax, once they started saying it, that you could still spread it. You can still catch it. It's not a vaccine. They had to change the definition of vaccine to create this as a vaccine. It's not a vaccine. It's under emergency use. They ignored all other therapeutics. All of them. Hydroxychloroquine, quinine, Z-Paks. Do you know that viruses need a certain environment to couple and reproduce? They work off of organisms. They are parts. If you change the pH levels of cells, the virus can't couple. So what you do is you use hydroxychloroquine to open the cell wall like a spike protein, and you introduce zinc, which changes the pH level to a point that the virus can't couple. This is pretty simple biology. Again, I'm not a biologist, but I know what a woman is. Ovaries, uterus, can bear a child. You know, girls have a vagina, boys have a penis. Pretty fucking simple. This is elementary. Our society is so fucked. So fucked. Ted Cruz, one of the very few who got... I don't know why anyone gives this girl any praise at all. She doesn't deserve any praise at all. If I was in the Senate, if I was in this hearing, I would have looked at her like, are you seriously a nominee? Like, this is a joke, right? Where are the hidden cameras? You know, I'd be on the front page news going, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, you are an idiot. She couldn't answer or refused to answer. I don't have an answer for that question. She's not even as good as Hillary. At least Hillary, as a politician, could get around questions. This lady just goes, I don't know. And you are going to interpret the law for the entire nation. You are going to be the highest level, the almighty of the city. No. Nope. I'd simply ask her, should all Americans get to own any kind of gun that they want? The second she says no, get the fuck out of here. It's that simple. It's that simple. It really is that simple. Shall not be infringed is a pretty simple concept. Don't sexualize or sexually exploit children. It's pretty simple. You would think There's so much going on. Disney now wants to create more LGBT content for children. So in response to the don't say gay bill, that's not at all what it is. It's a don't groom children sexually bill. It's right out in the open. These people are grooming children. Sexually grooming children. Pedophilia is becoming the norm, and I'm not okay with that. If you sexually exploit or sexually take advantage of a child, you should be put in a cage and lit on fire. Plain and simple. No remorse for your life. You should have a slow, painful death. Children. You know, a society is judged based on how they treat their vulnerable, which is the elderly and the children. Next is women. It's the men's job to protect. Where are the men in this nation? They're kowtowing to nominees like this because their skin color, which is racist, and what's between their legs, which is sexist. And this idiot with nothing up here is living proof that colleges just make people stupid. She's probably gotten through her whole career as a goddamn quota hire for diversity because she contributes nothing good to the planet. Nothing. If she died of a heart attack tomorrow, I mean, God forbid, I'm not wishing death on anybody, but have she passed away tomorrow, the world would probably be a brighter place. Society would be better off because with people like this running around, your life, the safety of your children are all at stake. She released criminals, rapists, murderers. She defends pedophiles. She gives them lenient sentences. She defends the fucking Taliban against our you know. I'm gonna give her the pass about calling George Bush a war criminal, because he was. The whole Bush, Clinton, Obama regime, they all need to be in prison. They all deserve a trip to Gitmo. But this idiot, if this idiot makes it to the Supreme Court, I'm going to tell you right now, buy all the long-term storable food you can, get all the fucking ammo and guns you can, and prepare for lawless and chaos, because this country is finished. If somebody like this can get onto the Supreme Court, remember they had to make up, you know, Justice Gorsuch. They didn't have much against him. Kavanaugh, they had to make up stories and blast some gang rape on a boat. Christine Blasey Ford making up all that. I don't know where, I don't know when, but I know it was him. And then it was all, he liked beer. Who doesn't like beer? I mean, maybe post-alcoholics or people that just never took a fancy to it. But for the rest of America, I like beer. Okay, so move on. I didn't gang rape people on a boat. Okay, well, there's no corroboration for it. So, and then she came out and admitted it was bullshit. Okay, you tore that man apart. This woman openly admits and openly here on the stand defends being lenient on pedophiles. There's no excuse for this. This woman should not only be disbarred, she belongs in prison. I'm sorry. If you think the Constitution is racist and you can't define what a woman is, you can't define laws, and you're not allowed to guard the fucking Constitution. I'm sorry. And if you're going to support BLM, a terrorist organization, you have no position in any government in this fucking country. So let's see what Ted Cruz opens with.
Judge Jackson, welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You and I have known each other a long time.
Oh,
We have.
congratulations on being black and having a vagina. Even if you don't know what having a vagina means, and you know that being black suddenly means the whole country is racist. So congratulations on being a racist person, a black racist person with a vagina. Congratulations on that. Fuck you, Ted Cruz, with that statement.
We went to law school together. We were on the law review together. We were a year apart.
Happily so, I hope, Senator.
No, not at all. Because he went on to defend the Constitution, you went on to defend pedophiles. It's not happy. Not happily. You're literally only sitting here because of the pigment in your skin and what's between your legs. You do not have qualifications. What the fuck did you do in law school while Senator Cruz was studying law?
We were not particularly close, but we were always friendly and cordial.
We were.
And you and I had a very positive and productive meeting in my office where we discussed a number of things, including you were there with former Senator Doug Jones. And we discussed how he and I and a number of other senators had, for 2 different years, participated in reading aloud on the Senate floor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from a Birmingham jail, which is one of the truly great advocacies for civil rights our nation has seen. And you and I talked.
For the record, owning a gun is a civil right.
Talked together about our shared admiration for Dr. King. When Senator Grassley questioned you earlier, he asked in particular about Dr. King's speech on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, where he said most critically, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Do you agree with what Dr. King said in that speech there?
I do.
Hold on. She's beginning to say I do, but she's accepting this nomination knowing it's based solely on the color of her skin, not the content of her character, because she defends the Taliban, is lenient on pedophiles, thinks the country's racist, Constitution's racist, and supports BLM, a terrorist organization. So she's going to say, I do understand the content of the character. Apparently she disagrees with it, otherwise she would have turned down the nomination, knowing that she's only there because she's a black woman. That's true content of character. I would have publicly denounced the nomination, be like, you're not bringing me into this position simply on the color of my skin or my biology, because here, let me break it down for you. Here's from a non-biologist. Women have ovaries and a uterus. Men do not. They have testicles and a penis. Pretty fucking simple. But I digress. Let's see.
You, Senator.
As we were discussing it, you referenced in my office a speech that you gave in January of 2020 at the University of Michigan School of Law. And after our discussion, I pulled a copy of your speech and read the speech in its entirety. And there were elements of the speech that I thought were really powerful. And let me say, your opening remarks yesterday were powerful and inspirational as well. And I think you and your family, the journey you have taken to becoming a federal judge, to becoming a federal Court of Appeals judge, I think demonstrates the incredible promise and the incredible opportunity this nation offers all of us.
Except I bet you in her case, while she was defending the Taliban, defending pedophiles, and supporting Marxism and terrorist groups, she was a quota hire the whole way, which is why she was picked because of skin color and sex. She's actually not qualified at all. And she is one of, and I really don't like saying this, she is one of the most ignorant fucking persons I've ever heard questioned on a stand at all. And that goes for criminals. Criminals can answer questions better than this lady can. She's an idiot. She has no business being anywhere near judicial decisions for this nation. She needs to go back to her little cult hole, hug a teddy bear, and cry about how racist America is.
As I read your speech at the University of Michigan Law School, however, there was a portion that surprised me. And in particular in that speech, you referenced the work of, quote, acclaimed investigative journalist Nicole Hannah-Jones. and her, and again, this is a quote from the speech, provocative thesis that America was born in, provocative thesis that the America that was born in 1776 was not the perfect union that it purported to be.
Well, it depends. Depends on what you decide is perfect. Let me give you a little background. This is why guns are such a big part of American culture. Do you know how America was born? It was born by individuals who were sick of a tyrannical government telling them what to do and taking their money from their hard work. So a bunch of people shot at the fucking government until the English stopped coming, the British stopped coming here, and we could rule ourselves. So anybody who's in favor of big government is anti-American. There's nothing more to paint to that picture. Why are guns a part of our culture? Why do we have a Second Amendment? Because when anybody else decides that government knows better than the people, we shoot at them and we send them back across the pond. We will take care of ourselves. We don't need a government. We are allowed to own any weapons the government has, including nukes. There's that. We started off on racism and build the country off the backs of slaves. That's all nonsense. You know how this country started? A bunch of pissed off people shooting at the fucking government, telling them, who the fuck are you? We'll rule ourselves. We are a free nation, a free people, and all are welcome here as long as you hold that value. We accept Muslims and Christians and Buddhists and Hindus and you name it. Jews, we take everyone. We were supposed to be a melting pot. What we turned into was a salad bar, and everybody's a fucking victim. That's bullshit. It shows you how weak the nature of man is. Mankind are weak. Our forefathers are rolling over in their fucking graves because they said, we basically gave you a free nation to do whatever you want symbiotically with a barter system using gold. And you sold out to big government and you're all slaves. You're all back on the plantation. And they want to blame white folk who own guns, not the fucking government. And their solution to the problems that big government has delivered is more big government. They're idiots. The whole founding of this nation was overthrowing a tyrannical government. And they don't seem to understand history. You know why they don't like Putin? I'll tell you right now. Has nothing to do with him killing civilians. They kill civilians all the time. America bombs the shit out of civilians. They don't think twice. Zelensky, the fucking war hero who plays a piano with his fucking penis. He bombed his own fucking civilians. In Donetsk or whatever it was. Donetsk. Nobody talks about that. You know why they don't like Putin? He doesn't want rainbow-haired people on TikTok perverting the children of Russia. He doesn't want the IMF and the central bank blowing out what's left of the ruble. He doesn't want the sick, perverted type of children sexualizing that's going on here to happen in Russia. In fact, Putin has a higher sense of moral than this fucking bitch. And that's going a bit. Putin, who will bomb civilians, a brutal dictator, has a higher moral ground than this woman right here, who's okay with sexualizing and exploiting children. I got news for you.
And indeed, Ms. Hannah Jones, in her 1619 projects, describes the central thesis of the 1619 Project, which the New York Times laid out as a revisionist look of history, revising American history. And Ms.
They like to revise history because if we spoke the truth about history, everybody would see these people for the fucking nut jobs that they are.
Hannah Jones described her central thesis as, quote, one of the primary reasons the colonists decided to declare independence was because they wanted to protect the institution of slavery. Now, that claim is a highly contested historical claim.
Oh, you knew I was going to pause it there, didn't you? Okay, first of all, England and the U.S. were some of the first people to abolish slavery. Brazil owned the most African slaves. And if you have anything to say about slavery, Miss Woman of Color who doesn't know what a woman is, who protects pedophiles. Africa still sells slaves. I could go to Libya in Africa right now and buy a slave for $200. So until you go over to Africa and fucking stop it, I don't give a shit about African slavery, because the Africans are enslaving each other to this day. Go fix it. Go fix it. We were one of the first nations. One of the first. And a lot of the people they bitch about who owned slaves were abolitionists. And in order to see their slaves get free, they couldn't break the law and get put in prison, so somebody else took the slaves. I don't want to hear slavery in America anymore. You're mad about slavery? Talk to China. Talk to Brazil. Talk to the entire continent of Africa. You're not getting any sympathy here from me. None of yous were slaves. I never owned any. In fact, I come from Irish descent. We were indentured servants. We were actually treated worse than African slaves. Worse. And Africa still sells slaves. You want to bitch about slavery in America? Go stop it first. You people are still selling each other. Don't tell me about slavery. I don't feel bad anymore. Not at this point. In the beginning, I had a little bit of that guilt when you put it in how evil it was. I think slavery is horrible, and I'm glad we ended it. You know what? You're welcome.
Do you agree with Miss Hannah Jones that one of the primary reasons the colonists decided to declare independence is because they wanted to protect the institution of slavery?
Thank you, Senator.
Real quick, the only people that they claim was fighting for slavery was the Confederacy. What they lacked to tell you was the Confederacy was the Democrat Party. Also the party that created the KKK. It's a little bit of actual wisdom and history for you.
When I gave that speech at the University of Michigan, I was asked to speak on Martin Luther King Day. And every year they have a Martin Luther King Day speaker. And I gave a speech about Black women in the civil rights movement. Most of the speech, if not all of the speech, was focused on African American women.
Running to the north to the Republicans to seek shelter from the evil fucking Democrats before you went back to their plantation. You know, most black people don't know that Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. Now, I don't like Martin Luther King's Democratic Socialist side, but it was the Democrats who wouldn't allow him to own a gun to defend himself.
Their contributions to the civil rights movement, unsung contributions in many cases, and then some of the more recent African American women who have made claims, who have done things in our society.
Now here's the biggest problem. Here's the biggest issue before we go any further. It's like a pissing contest. The first black person, the first black woman, the first Spanish person. America is built on the foundation of individual liberty. Doesn't matter where you came from. Doesn't matter who you are, what your skin color is. Doesn't matter what country, you know. I mean, it's interesting to hear people's stories. The only fucking thing that matters is what you contribute to society as a liberated individual, a self-governed individual. I don't care that you're black. I don't care that you're a woman. What are you contributing to society? That's what we celebrate. I don't care what political affiliation you have. I'm a libertarian. I'm straight up libertarian. I don't like the government, either side. This whole Republican, Democrats, a dog and pony. Keeps us distracted, keeps us divided. The first African American on the SCOTUS. Well, that's a fucking racist perception of who belongs there. What has this woman contributed to society? She's defended the Taliban. She's siding with pedophiles and child predators. She supports a terrorist organization known as a BLM, a grift that took the exploited black people in America, took all their money. She has done nothing for society. She has not earned this position. What you're watching is sexism and racism. promote this woman to a position she doesn't belong in. She does not belong in. Anywhere near. This woman should be shipped to China for slave labor so she could come back and learn how to appreciate the freedoms that we have here, or what's left of them in America.
One slide was of Ms. A journalist, as you say, who made that statement, and I called it provocative. It is not something that I've studied. It doesn't come up in my work. I was mentioning it because it was, at least at that time, something that was talked about and well known to the students that I was speaking to at the law school.
So are you aware that since the 1619 Project came out, that it has been roundly refuted by very respected historians, including Gordon Wood of Brown University, including James McPherson?
Because it's a load of bullshit. Her contribution to society is the dumbing of children, the adding to racial divide, and Marxism. Her contribution overall to society or humanity, her existence on this planet has been to the detriment of humankind. That's why I said, if she were to pass away, not that I wish that on her, I don't wish harm on anybody or ill towards anybody, but if she were to croak tomorrow, it'd be one less thing destroying society as a whole. Because her work here on this planet is evil. It's evil. And I don't use that word lightly.
McPherson of Princeton University. McPherson called it a, quote, very unbalanced, one-sided account which lacks content and perspective. And indeed, it was so thoroughly refuted that the New York Times quietly altered the digital version to remove references to 1619 as the year of America's true founding and the moment America began. Were you aware of that?
I was not.
So let me ask you, related to the 1619 Project, which I believe is deeply inaccurate and misleading. 1619 Project is closely intertwined with a movement that is called critical race theory. Critical race theory, as you know, originated at your and my alma mater at the Harvard Law School. In your understanding, what does critical race theory mean? What is it?
Senator, my understanding is that critical race theory is it is an academic theory that is about the ways in which race interacts with various institutions. It doesn't come up in my work as a judge. It's never something that I've studied or relied on, and it wouldn't be something that I would rely on if I was on the Supreme Court.
So critical race theory, as you know, has its origins in the critical legal studies movement, which also came from Harvard Law School, from a number of critical legal studies professors, crits as they were known when we were in law school, who are explicitly Marxists. And they find their origins in Marxism, although critical legal studies frames society as a fundamental battle between socioeconomic classes. Critical race theory frames all of society as a fundamental and intractable battle between the races. It views every conflict as a racial conflict. Do you think that's an accurate way of viewing society in the world we live in?
Senator, I don't think so, but I've never studied critical race theory and I've never used it. It doesn't come up in the work that I do as a judge.
So with respect, I find that a curious statement because you gave a speech in April of 2015 at the University of Chicago in which you described the job you do as a judge. And you said sentencing is just plain interesting because it melds together myriad types of law, criminal law, and of course constitutional law, critical race theory. So you described in a speech to a law school what you were doing as critical race theory. And so I guess I would ask, what did you mean by that when you gave that speech?
With respect, Senator, the quote that you are mentioning there was about sentencing policy. It was not about sentencing. I was talking about the policy determinations of bodies like the Sentencing Commission when they look at a laundry list of various academic subjects as they consider what the policies should be.
Okay, but
Critical
you were
race-
vice chair of the Sentencing Commission, so let me ask again, what did you mean by, because that was an official responsibility of yours, what did you mean by what you were doing was critical race?
What I meant was that there are a number of, that slide does not show the entire laundry list of different academic disciplines that I said relate to sentencing policy, but none of that relates to what I do as a judge.
So let me ask you a different question. Is critical race theory?
Let me ask you a simple question. Is what you do as a judge protect pedophiles and the Taliban? You probably wouldn't have an answer for that. As a judge, now this is why this is important. Define a woman. I can't. How are you going to interpret laws that are based on biological sex if you don't understand the concept of biological sex? We don't base laws on gender because gender apparently has nothing to do with sex. They told us that for years. Oh, gender's not sex. Gender's a social construct that the role that you're assumed to play from the patriarchy because of your biological sex. But just because I have a vagina doesn't mean I need to play the role of a woman. Okay, fine, fair. So, what's the root of gender? Well, it's fluid, and I'm non-binary, I'm pansexual, I'm this and that, LGBTQ, ABD, the whole thing. It's fluid, I'm fluid. Sometimes I feel like a woman, sometimes I don't. Well, that's why we can't base law on that. Imagine fluid laws where sometimes it's okay to murder, but sometimes it's not. Just depends on the day or how you feel. Like today, I felt like murdering people, so it's okay. But tomorrow, I don't feel like murdering people, so then all of a sudden, it's a bad thing to do. That's why we don't base laws on fluid concepts or subjective foundations. Objectively, science. Girls have a vagina, boys have a penis. From birth, the doctor assigns your sex. You can be whatever you want. You want to be a boy that runs around in a tutu and this and that? I don't give a shit. I have trans friends. They're adults. You don't put kids into it. You know what the kids should be doing in kindergarten? Writing letters to Santa Claus, believing in the tooth fairy, exploring. Not thinking about what to do with their private parts as prepubescent children, and sick fucking predators were able to prey on children because of the sick, twisted people like this lady who wanted to look at the predators as victims. Unfucking believable. You know what? We are at almost 40 minutes now. I'm getting mad. We are gonna go through this. I'll post an update video or something. We're gonna dive into this. This woman belongs nowhere near the fucking Supreme Court. Nowhere near. And remember, if she bitches about racism, she's only there because she's a black woman. She doesn't know what a woman is, and she doesn't like being categorized by race. Yet she's only there because she has a vagina. And she's black. Make it make sense. Good luck, America. You're gonna fucking need it.